Welcome back to another video. My name is Derek. Today I'm going to be showing you how to replace a flex cable that is soldered directly to a motherboard. The device that I'm going to be featuring today is an Apple Watch, but the same techniques apply for practically all flex cables that are soldered to the motherboards. So let's get into the video. Whether you're working on an iPad, some proximity sensors, or Apple Watches, you're going to run into these through-hole type flexes. The concept is simple. All that needs to happen is the solder needs to travel through the through-hole in the flex and make contact with the pad. And if you do that on all of the pads, then you're good to go. The tools that you will need for these types of jobs are a soldering iron, solder, flux, potentially wick, and a method of cleaning, whether it's isopropyl alcohol or some type of PCB cleaner with cotton swabs, Q-tips, microfiber cloths, brushes, whatever you prefer to clean motherboards. The other thing that is recommended is a microscope, as most of the time lining up these flex cables requires magnification, as you have to be precise, and there are these little windows that help you do that. That being said, let's jump into the microscope and I'll show you how to replace the flex on this Apple Watch.
As you can see here, we've got a little bit of damage on the connector. We're missing some of the traces, and overall it just isn't looking good. Let's peel back the sticker very carefully, add some flux, and carefully take our soldering iron over each one of the pads. Got a little bit of tension on the flex cable, not a whole lot, just a little bit, enough that when the soldering iron passes over each one of the points, when the solder melts, it'll pull away from that without pulling the pad off the board. So I'm barely putting any tension on the flex cable, and it'll work for me in this case. I'm just going to carefully kiss the flex cable with the soldering iron, continuing to move along down the whole flex cable like this. It'll easily remove it without having to add any additional solder. Just a little bit of patience. Add flux when needed, and continue on down until the flex is completely removed. Flux prevents the solder from oxidizing and helps it flow nice and smoothly. And there we go. Now I'm going to take the soldering iron and I'm going to go over the pads just to make sure they're all still intact, nice, and kind of spread out the solder evenly amongst them. Now the solder that's on here, I can leave it on there totally fine. I'm going to add some more solder actually, just to get as much solder as I possibly can on each pad. Here I've got some 138 solder paste that I'm putting on here. I'm going to go over and just get as much solder on each one of those pads as it will allow me to without them. I'm just going to get as much solder on each pad as I can, creating a nice little pillow of solder on top of each pad. And I'm going to do this so that they're nice and even. There's no high points or low points across between the pads. I'm going to take a clean room wipe and some isopropyl alcohol and my brush here, and I'm going to clean off all of the burnt flux, get it down to the nice bare bone board. There it is, nice and clean. We'll add some new flux and spread it out evenly amongst the solder, amongst the pads. Get our new flex cable and add flux to the top of it as well. Now you notice this little hole here. I'm going to line up the little gold square with it and tack one in place. We'll move on to the other side as well and find that gold square and line it up. Now I'm just going to go and secure both ends by tacking a few more around it. Let's go back up to the other side and just reposition it just ever so slightly so that it's more centered inside that little hole there. Right there, that's good. Now I'm going to go ahead and start to gently pull the solder through each one of those little holes. And I'm going to do this by just carefully touching the surface of the flex cable, moving quickly back and forth, slowly letting that flex cable basically lower itself to where it's touching the board itself, and all of the solder has pulled through the holes, connecting each hole through to the board and making a nice solid joint. And I'm just going to go individually just to make sure they're all nice intact so that I don't have to do any testing. I know that they're solid by actually seeing the solder pull through. And there we go. Now I just need to clean it up, so I'm going to take my clean room wipe again, more isopropyl alcohol, and the brush, and we're going to do the same thing we did before and clean off all of the old flux down to a nice dry flex cable where we can put the sticker back over the top and call it a day. Nice solid joints there. And here goes the sticker. Pulling it back up. If the sticker didn't survive peeling it off, I could have used Kapton tape and it would have just worked just fine. And that would have worked just fine.
Alright, and that is how to replace the flex cable on an Apple Watch. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If there's something that you'd like to see in a future video, let me know as well. Thanks a ton for watching. We'll see you in the next video.